So I watched that movie Kill, and I heard a lot of people praising this as one of the best action movies of the year. Now I'm gonna start with the negatives this time with this movie, mainly because I think the first half of this movie, the first 45 minutes, are terrible. Like when it comes to the dialogue is pretty cringe, the love story is very unwitting and cheesy, and the pacing I think is horrible in those first 45 minutes. So what? Like I'm like when I was watching, I was just like, what are people talking about with this movie? Why is it getting so much praise? Now, the positive with this movie is that I think when the title sequence hits, that's when the movie picks up. Because the only thing to me that I found good about the first 45 minutes of this movie is that it has some good action, but I was also like, I don't. It has good action, but I was like blown away. When the title sequence hits, which is never seen a movie do that, when the title doesn't drop into the first 45 minutes, it feels like the pace picks up and the Aston really gets to that level. Like, okay, I can understand all the praise of when it comes to the Aston in this movie because that's when the Aston start to become really great. Not just like because the first 45 minutes I was like the Aston's good, but I was like, what's all the hype about? And then when the title sequence hits, you're like, okay, this is where the violence gets more. The acting gets more violent and over the top, and it was really working for me there. And just overall, the pace of the movie felt like it picked up. And when it comes to the main actor, he does a great job as an Aston star in this movie. I don't think his character was the most interesting in the world. And I know some people would say, well, it's an Aston movie. Yes. But then I look at characters like John Wick or Bruce Willis's character from the Die Hard movies or the two main characters of the Lethal Weapon movies. They were interesting and compelling characters that you felt invested in. The main guy in the movie Kill, I think he does a good job as an Aston star, but I don't think his character is exactly the most compelling character in the world. I don't dislike his character, but I wasn't like, oh my god, he's like gonna end up being one of my favorite Aston characters. But Aston definitely becomes great. The villains, I think the villains are fine in this movie, like the group of bandits. I do like the fact there's like a family element with the group of villains in this movie. So I thought it was a cool new element that I haven't seen with like a group of villains in a movie before. But at the same time, they were all kind of disposable to me. Like I don't think, like for me personally, none of the villains like stood out to me. But I did like the family element among the villains. So I thought it was an interesting element to the story. And at the end of the movie, the love story, even though I think after the title sequence, the movie really picks up, and I was really having fun with the movie. I still, by the end of it, I still think the love story was very underwritten in this movie. Like I didn't feel invested at all. I can't say I cared about any of the characters in this movie, but the action in the second half after the title sequence, I was just and the pacing of the movie just was to me so much better. But at the end of the day, to me, it balances stuff out with that. At the end of the day, this was a movie that I liked, but I do think it's overhyped. Like I've seen a lot of people call this like one of the favorite movies of the year, and I was just kind of like, I liked it, but the first 45 minutes I think are really rough and bad. Now, if you can get through this first 45 minutes and get to the part once the title sequence drops, that's when the movie becomes, to me, entertaining. Again, not great. I don't think it's like fantastic. I think there's, even by the end of the movie, like I said, there's still issues with the love story being on and the characters not being the most interesting in the world. But as an action movie, that's when I start to enjoy the movie. So overall, it balanced out to a movie that I like, but this isn't a movie I would say is fantastic. It's not going to end up being one of my favorite action movies I've seen. But I would say check out Kill if you're looking for an enjoyable, decent action movie to watch. So that's my thoughts on Kill. And Kill until next time, movie fans.